Awesome. Welcome, everybody, to Conversations with 1 Million Meditators. I'm really excited today. We are joined by the incredible and amazing Richard Brookens. Welcome, Richard. It's such an honor to have you here today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Richard, I know we bumped into each other a while ago, and we were wanting to do this. So I'm really excited today. Richard, he has been a yoga instructor since 1998 and a professional musician since 1972. He combines them, offering the path to complete relaxation of the body and cessations of thoughts for deeper meditation. He currently teaches 10 yoga classes and 2 meditations at the Bari University in Miami, Florida, and freelances in South Florida, playing for yoga classes, Reiki circles, and other healing or spiritual events, leading to sound healing meditations using the Tibetan Singing Bowls, the Lotus Gong, flutes, mantras, along with some breath techniques from yoga. This is going to be so juicy. It's such an honor. It's such an honor to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So I'm going to first off ask you, what inspired you to join the movement of 1 Million Meditators and share out your lovely sound healing meditations? I mean, you've been in this field for a long time, so you've got experience.
Well, I think the idea of 1 million meditators is just so wonderful to think about. A million people meditating, because I do believe in the power of the vibration of ourselves. What we're doing at the moment, and it's a very cumulative kind of thing. I've experienced it being very strong in groups, and of course as a cumulative practice, also just as an individual on that level also. It adds up. So when I heard about it, I thought, well, that sounds like a great idea. 1 million meditators. So I just jumped right in there to join it, and I'd like to do more than I've been doing. I'd like to be more active than I've been so far. But I think it's a wonderful group. As you know, we just finished another weekend of 48 hours of meditation, continuous meditations online in all different time zones, and going on and on for the whole weekend. Last weekend, I guess it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was very beautiful. Just the vibration, the whole energy of the entire weekend was just so lovely. Yeah, it just was.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to get into this work so many years ago? Because today, yoga has become, more aware, more people are getting into it, but it's really kind of over that, it feels like the last decade that it's, there's been more awareness around the positive benefits from it. So I'm really curious, how you dived into it so many years ago, and you just have so much experience. So it's really exciting to chat about this.
I didn't have an aha moment with meditation so much as far as wanting to do it or deciding that was what I should be doing with my time. But I kind of just had a natural inclination towards it. I think as a young boy, I was thinking about it just recently, that I used to lay on my back a lot in the grass in the yard and just watch the clouds for hours. I would just meditate on the clouds. I wouldn't be thinking about anything in particular, trying to find things that they looked like necessarily. Although, of course, inevitably, you'd see something that looked like a this or that, like a dog or something, or a star or something, or an angel, But I remember thinking, well, that was actually the first time that I was meditating without thinking about it being that. I was just focused and letting my mind kind of slow down, and I wasn't really trying to do anything with I had no plans or any goals or any thoughts. My thoughts would slow down, but I remember that was such a nice feeling. So when I came to meditation in a more formal sense, it felt very comfortable and kind of almost, I felt at home. And of course, it actually was a kind of a surprise to me that other people would struggle as much as they were. Sometimes so much, and it was not that it was just easy for me. I don't think it's necessarily easy for anybody, hardly ever. I think meditation is something that's a kind of that's kind of part of the lesson of, we just keep doing it even though we haven't moved any mountains lately. So we just keep at it. But we see that there's a cumulative effect, as I mentioned. Um, yeah. So I think as far as being inspired to start meditation, I'm more as far as inspiration in meditation. There's nothing like success. So when you feel the benefits of a good meditation or a series of meditations, or you look back at a period of time here that you've been meditating perhaps, and you see the benefit, or somebody else might even notice the benefit that you're close to, that sees you day to day. I think a lot of times, of course, like most of these gradual changes, um, people that don't see us very often will notice something change. If somebody hasn't seen you in a week or two or a month, and you've been meditating all that time, then don't be surprised if they ask you what you've been doing, what's changed, what's different about you. Something's different. I've gotten that from time to time. Um, so I think the inspiration to continue meditating and to teach meditation. I sometimes, I teach university students, and it's not the easiest thing to get a lot of feedback from them about the class, about meditation, their experience, and how it's going. And so I'm always asking them if they would, and then they don't. They don't really have much to say. Sometimes they have one or two of them might say something, but not a lot. So, but every once in a while, I do get something. Sometimes they write something, or they just tell during class, or talk to me after class privately. Sometimes they'd rather be private. Um, and I'm sometimes just really blown away with the things that they've told me about things that have changed, or things that they've understood now about themselves. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, of course, at that age, at any age, I suppose, to start. But especially if you can get a perspective that meditation gives you at a relatively early time in your life, then that affects everything else that's going to come later, of course. It has a long-lasting, it can have a long-lasting effect on the rest of your life, I think, if you start early enough. But whenever you start, it has a change. It has a certain kind of shift that it offers.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I'm assuming maybe that you've noticed, from being a musician, I grew up with a very musical family, and there was always music playing, and I went to a lot of concerts growing up. And when you get into like that energy of a group of people, and you start including sound and the different, we're always looking to play in harmony when there's music. It's just so interesting how collectively the group and the energy just really can shift. And depending on the type of music that's playing, it's, what I mean, everybody's happier, everybody's flown in sync. So
Uh-huh.
I'd love if you could share a little bit of your experience coming from that, and then tying the two together in witnessing what
Yeah.
comes from it, that vibration. Yeah.
Well, it's been a long journey actually for me. I think I really I connected to playing music because of the spirit of it, because of that feeling I got from it, and it really, looking back at it, was very therapeutic for me. As a 10-year-old when I first started playing saxophone. And so, I just fell in love with it, and I just played all the time. But later, I became a professional musician, and being a professional is a different thing, of course, sometimes than you might imagine. Trying to make a living, you're trying to learn music that don't necessarily really connect to us, on any kind of emotional or spiritual level. So you're just learning it because it's your job, because you play it, because that's what people pay you to do. And sometimes I felt like I was wondering, well, I'm not sure why I'm a musician anymore. I'm really not sure what if this is really what I want to be doing. And at some point, I came back to playing from my heart and trying to find the situations that would allow me to do that, pursuing. Uh, well, I became a yoga teacher, so that right away opened a lot of doors. I was connecting to people and places and events and things that were perfect for me. And so I started making some recordings and gravitating towards playing some instruments also that are more easily adapted to that kind of an approach. To meditation and relaxation. I had played actually bamboo flutes when I was probably around 13 or so. Pier One was still, it was actually still around. Started around that time, and they used to have a big bin of bamboo flutes where you could go into the store and just try them, and nobody worried too much about the germs. And I just tried all these flutes in the stores all the time. Always trying to, whenever I saw a new Pier One, I'd try to make sure I could have enough time to go through the flutes they had, and so I started playing. That's the first flute I had was a bamboo flute, but now I'm back to playing bamboo flutes again, in a little different kind of an approach. But um, I fell in love with the sound back then, and then got an American or Westernized, you could say, metal flute, and then came later back to Chinese and Indian bamboo flutes, which is what I've been recording on now for probably 10 years. With I have a yellow bell music project that's basically for yoga and to teach yoga, do yoga on your own, for Reiki, for massage, for relaxation. Um, getting ready to come out actually with my third Water trilogy, or third CD of the Water trilogy, the third project to finish the trilogy that's all about the sound of water. This one focuses more on the sound of the ocean, as the real sound of the ocean recorded, and bamboo flutes. I used a lot of Tibetan bowls. I have a new Lotus Gong, and that's on there now too. It's a special gong that I just got right before we went into the shutdown, and so no, I haven't really played it out anywhere yet. Soon, I hope.
Well, and for those of you that are joining in, I'm going to say hello to Leah, Amina. Please post in the comments. I see a few more of you on. Let us know where you're joining us from. But we are going to have a little bit of a treat here today, and Richard is going to play for us, which is awesome and amazing. And he also does play each week on Sundays from 7 to 8. Richard, you're going to have to verify the time zone for me on that one. But he does a nice chakra healing meditation, sound healing meditation. So we'll post the details for that below, and you can tune in because they are just lovely. This is so exciting. He's moving over, and look at all that yumminess.
Yeah, that's Eastern Standard Time, 7 to 8 on Sunday evenings, and I'll be playing. So starting tomorrow.
Yeah, so we will post in the comments below as well where you can connect with Richard, his website. He does play at a lot of events quite often, and there's just a lot. I know you were recently in another expo that involved a lot of different artists, and it's really exciting. So Richard's connected to a lot of juicy sound healing and musical things, so you can tune in for that.
Can you hear me okay from over here?
Yes, we are good.
Yeah? Okay.
So I would recommend for those of you tuning in and listening, driving right now is probably not the best choice because, you're probably going to zone out here. So if you have the opportunity and can get comfortable, go ahead and do so and really just enjoy. Hi, David from Vancouver. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to be quiet, Richard, and I'm going to give the floor to you, and I'll bring everybody back when you are complete.
Well, I just wanted to let you know what I have here so that you're not being too curious while I'm playing them, so that you can really let go and relax and get the benefit of the sounds that I'll be offering. Basically, I have a set of two different kinds of bowls. One is made of crystal, and there's 7 of them. They're tuned to the C major scale, and that can be related to the chakra system. We also sometimes use that. These particular bowls are meant for that. They're colored for the chakras, and they have a nice, very much in tune sound. And then I have also it's a set of Tibetan singing bowls. They're the metal bowls that are also tuned, and some of them very much so with the chakra bowls. Um, Behind me, I have a Lotus Gong, if you can see that. It has actually a picture of a lotus on it. I don't know if you can see it behind me now. I'm covering it up, I guess. But and sometimes, I'm not sure how good this is going to sound on Facebook this far away. What do you think, Tara? Is that a good sound, or should I stay away from that? That's good? Yeah? Okay. So, yeah, like as Tara said, it's a good idea not to be trying to operate any heavy machinery. Get off the lawnmower, or set the helicopter down before you start the meditation here with us. We're in the helicopter. So close the eyes, take a big breath, and exhale. Relax your body some. If you're sitting up to meditate, then we want to lift up to the spine with another inhalation. Let's lift up to the spine. Big inhalation. Take your time. Big, filling it all the way up. Big inhalation from the bottom up. Expanding for that inhalation. Exhaling, emptying out for the exhalation. Nice and slow. Take your time. Let the breath relax. Notice that you might have thoughts come into your mind about the past or the future. Let your mind let go of the thought and just bring your mind right back to the sound of the bowls.
Thank you so much, Richard. That was so beautiful. I tell you, every time I go into a meditation, that's one of the things I love about sound. You can have things going on, there's the technology going on here. We're having a conversation. And just like in a few moments with that beautiful sound and vibration, it can just really take you right into that simple, or just peaceful space of bliss.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's so nice is that once you find something that you really seem to connect to as an individual, that we all need to find our own style of meditation that works best for us, I think, and that can change from time to time, I guess. But once you find something that really works for you, then your body and your mind, especially, they both kind of they get used to that, right? And so you can drop into it quicker and more easily, um, if you need to, if that's a factor at all. Sometimes people feel like, well, I don't have time because it takes me so long to prepare everything and get everything ready and go, and I have to be in the right mood and everything has to be just right. If I have to do that first, then I won't be able to meditate later and all that kind of thing. So lots of reasons and conditions we might put on it, but once we sit down, if we have a regular a place and a regular little bit of a ritual, perhaps even you could say, at the beginning of our meditation sessions, or if we just use the same technique, then we start to get into the body and the mind, get into the groove of it, and just start to accept it and drop right into it much much more easily and quickly, I found. So we have to wait for that, of course, and be sure that we're ready to commit.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's the amazing thing about the practice of meditation, because you're saying why it's called a practice is as you start to do it over and over again, and someone sees you, like you said, a month later, and they're like, "What have you been doing? What have you been up to?"
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, I had that experience in a nightclub when I was just starting. I hadn't been playing in nightclubs for a while. I kind of gave it up. And well, for good actually. But I went back to do something um, once, and when I walked in, a couple of my friends I hadn't seen in a couple of months um, looked up, and there I was walking down the aisle towards them, and they looked up at me, and I could tell on their face they're trying to figure out if is this who is that? They weren't sure who I was. When I got up close enough, I surprised them, and they said that I looked taller.
Well, there's been a lot of meditation studies I've done, like after silent retreats, where they've shown that it will extend the length of the telomeres on the end of your cells, which is what tend to shrink as we age. So
Yeah. Well,
there's
I think
benefits
I
to the practice.
probably just I was standing up a little taller, just a little, I was just a little more open kind of and feeling a little more, I was feeling stronger in a different kind of way, not so much physically stronger, but yeah, just more confident maybe. And yeah, they thought that had actually gotten taller. In effect, I had, but it was still me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Richard, you've given us so much today, but I would just love to ask you if there's anything that you would like to leave us with, even surrounding just the benefits of the mind and the heart body connection, and coming from your yogi background and connecting the breath to the body. I'm sure that you've experienced
Oh,
and seen the benefits with others over the years.
you're asking about excuse me, about the benefit of breath work, or about the connection between mind.
Yeah, practicing that mind body connection, the benefits of it, and really,
Well, uh,
putting some energy towards it.
what I've noticed as I've been teaching for a while, is that it reflects both ways. I mean, it shows you things both ways. You can change how you're feeling if you know how to with your breath. And the yogis have known for thousands of years some of these techniques. But your breath also shows kind of where you're at. As a quick example, I had a client that had gone through very difficult times in her life and had broken both of her arms at the same time, about 2 years before I met her, and had not really recovered. So I was doing some Thai yoga actually with her to help her with her shoulders and arms. But I found that her whole attitude was reflected in her breath, and her breath was almost constantly like an inhalation and then a sigh out, a constant sigh. And she wasn't aware of that, but that reflected where she kind of felt, how she felt about her life, how she felt like she was fitting in. And that she had no financial problems. She was very, very wealthy. She had gotten through pretty much all of her family problems were settled finally. That was the cause of a lot of her angst. But a lot of things had gone through, and now she was at a point where she really was living the life that she wanted to. Whatever she wanted to do, she could do it pretty much. And so she was taking privates with me and getting some body work and everything else. And we started working with her breath. And I can't say that I can tell you that there's a miraculous success story at the end of the tale. She moved away, and she never did manage to change her breath. But a few times when she did, I noticed that right away she sat up a little straighter. You know, as soon as she started opening up the exhalation and taking her time with it, she got more relaxed and she started feeling more confident and healed right away. So this breath work that we do is a constant influence on us, and we are constantly influencing it, of course, by how we are. So we by this idea of self-examination, understanding yourself, look at your breath. Check your breath out and check it every day, often. See where you're at minute to minute, and that's a great way to become the witness. If you want to talk about self-examination. Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's such a good point. Like when I grew up, I sang, and one of the things that we would do often when we would go into our lessons, as you mentioned, laying on your back in the earlier years, if I wasn't breathing right, she'd be like, "Okay, let's lay on the ground, and then let's get back into our breathing techniques this way and start to sing." And it's interesting because at one point, once I had kids, I kind of set all those things aside. But I noticed as I began opening up my meditation practice years later, how much just moving that like breath, how it had been stagnant for that period of time. So
Yeah.
it's interesting that you said, because I was so used to singing regularly, right? So I was always
Oh,
breathing and practicing that breath work. And then,
yeah.
once I wasn't taking lessons, you take a break and you don't. But it didn't really, at the time, I never recognized the difference and how impactful it was as I was, practicing that breath, because I wasn't doing it intentionally at the time then. I was just
Uh-huh.
taking lessons, right? But
Uh-huh.
seeing the difference from not doing those practices and then reincorporating them again, it's
Yeah. There's so many people that I've met, and I can't quite figure out what's going on. But about half of my students, it used to be half of my students were chest breathers when I first met them. I'm talking about Barry University, and so half of them didn't move their stomachs or their diaphragms very much, and consciously they couldn't control that area at first. They weren't really in touch with it. It was a real challenge for them to change over to this conscious breathing of opening up the belly and then the diaphragm and then the rib cage, and the lungs have more space to expand from above, for that inhalation, and then exhaling, reversing that, going the other way. This can be backwards for some people. This can feel backwards for some people, and actually, they're the ones that are breathing backwards. I would argue, but yeah. So uh, I also noticed that when I first took one of my first yoga certification courses, about half the people in the class were talking about having a hard time getting this breath work going, and wondering, how everybody else was doing. And is this something that's, so it's a real challenge, I think, for a lot of people, and it can change everything for anybody really that is breathing very shallow, very shallow breath during the day as a matter of course. Just that's the way they breathe. If it's very shallow, then they're not getting as much oxygen in, so their energy level suffers, and they're not getting the toxins out. They're not doing the cleansing part of the exhalation breath. So they're storing toxins in their lungs, and that's getting reabsorbed into the body to be processed other ways, and so that takes more energy. So it's no wonder people sometimes feel so exhausted when they have such a poor breath. So when they change their breath, all that can change, and that of course affects everything. So it's a real game changer, this breath. And I often say it's the most important thing that I teach, really, the breath. You know,
Um, it is our life force, that life force energy. And
absolutely.
it's interesting too, as a child growing up, and I've done this with my children often, sometimes do. It's quite common for people to have that phrase, just take a deep breath. Just
Mhm.
take a deep breath. So it's instinctive, but it's not something we practice like going to the gym as much as we do, but yet the
Oops,
benefits.
your
Um,
picture just froze.
oh, we just froze. Oh, we're back
And then
now.
I lost you. Now we're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, the old folk saying of take a deep breath is never truer than when you need it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
sometimes it takes more than one. Sometimes it takes 10 or 15 or 20 or 100. But
Just keep going until you feel good.
yeah, right. I've tried to make that a habit when I realize that I feel something coming up inside of me that wants to just shoot out at somebody. I try to stop and not say anything, because that's usually when I say the exact wrong thing. The worst thing that can be said is usually what wants to come out. Stop, and I just don't say anything, and I wait. I take a few breaths, and soon it's not uncommon that they start apologizing
Mhm.
for what they just said, because I obviously pushed one of my buttons. They can
Yeah.
see that it affected me. Maybe they didn't even mean that, but it does keep me from saying things that I'm having to apologize later for. I can stop and just take a few breaths and think, okay, so that they said that. I wonder why they would say that. I'm trying to, kind of figure this out a little bit. Maybe there's something I missed here. Maybe I said something, or something was said that I missed. I'm not thinking about, and then we're ready to go from there. Eventually. But yeah, I think that the breath is just I'm so happy to see all these people that are doing breath workshops. And I use it in every workshop I teach. Whatever I teach, I almost always start with a good breath for at least a couple of breaths, you know.
Mhm.
I think it's essential just to get everybody's attention for themselves, you know, to get their own attention, to realize, oh, I'm here now, I'm doing this now, I'm going to focus on this now. Because otherwise we can spend the first 10 or 15 minutes of any session we join, you know, trying to kind of get into it and get our minds focused and, you know, actually, oh, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, this,
Absolutely.
you know, Tara, I have to say, I'm very pleased with the technical aspect of what we did today. It's beautiful. Also, I love the sky setting and the planet behind us. But I can't tell what it says. Does it say Facebook behind me?
I think it's got the 1 Million Meditators, I Love Myself, and the planet behind it. So
Oh,
it's vibrating behind us out.
okay. Okay, good. Good.
Yeah. So, okay, before we go, I have to ask you, because I haven't yet, if I could give you, Richard, a magic wand and you could wave it, or a magic sound singing bowl.
Well, my first thought was a smart aleck response. If you gave me a magic wand, the first thing I would do is check for my wings.
I love it.
I must have some wings too. I guess I can fly now, right? But if I actually, in other words, if I had the ability to change something magically in the world, or to have a magical effect on the world, I think people, you know, I would open people's hearts to realize that they need to love themselves and they need to love each other, and that's the key to life.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think on that note, we could send out big hearts to
Yeah,
everybody that's joining in and watching. We're sending you extra love today to
the
those
whole
that need
there is
it.
better. There's never too much.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you, Richard. This has been such an honor to have you here today and just
Carol,
hear your wisdom and share your beautiful talent and what you do in this world. And I'm sure that there's going to be many that want to connect with you and your sound meditations that you put out each week because they're so lovely. So
yeah,
thank you for the work that you do.
you're very welcome. Thank you again. Namaste, everyone.
Yes, namaste. And for those of you that are watching, please leave a comment below. Let us know where you're from. And if you're catching this on the replay, #replay. And if you're on the podcast, please leave us a review if this resonates with you. We always love to hear from you, and we will be back again next week. And of course, check the links below for how you can connect with Richard and catch his weekly sound healing meditations. Again, Richard, it has been such an honor. Thank you so much. Namaste, everybody.
Namaste.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.